at it again with another video. Took a little ISIS break, but we're back, man. We're back. What the fuck is this video? 13-year-old girl who goes missing by a monster. Let's go.
13-year-old
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on my shit. Let's go.
Tristan Bailey was found dead on May 9th. She was found in a wooded area near her neighborhood covered in stab wounds. And when Sheriff Robert Hardwick was interviewed, he mentioned that he didn't want to disclose the specific number of times she was stabbed. But according to another updated statement from the sheriff himself, he said, and I quote, "It brings me no pleasure to be charging a 14-year-old as an adult with first-degree murder. It was clear to us after we looked at what happened that it was not only appropriate to charge the defendant as an adult, but it was really the only charge we could make." And per an article from abcnews.com, they say he offered new grisly details about her murder, noting that there were 114 stab wounds found on Bailey, citing the medical examiner report, and at least 49 of those wounds were to the hands, arms, and head that were defensive in nature. Quote, "She was fighting for her life," Larissa said.
Wow.
To say it was horrific could arguably be made an understatement. And a lot of you may not know what a defensive wound is, but per Google it says that defensive wounds are any type of injuries that result from an attempt or repeated attempts to defend against an assailant using such sharp-edged weapons as knives or blunted instruments such as fists and clubs. Such wounds are usually deeply indented stab wounds, but can be either blunt or sharp in nature. So while this presumed psychopath of a 14-year-old boy was trying to murder Tristan Bailey, she was actually fighting for her life. You know, she must have been putting her hands up and trying to block her face, and I just can't imagine what she must have been going through at that point in time. That has to be the worst nightmare for any girl of any age, to be fighting for your life like that in a situation of which you don't know you're gonna survive or not. Tristan Bailey was a cheerleader at Patriot Oaks Academy in St. John's, Florida. Multiple media outlets have posted pictures of her smiling with braces and blonde hair in cheerleader uniforms and fancy dresses. And in these photos, it showcases her to be a fairly happy-looking girl. But once her death was announced, it brought her entire community to a standstill. She was reported missing on May 9th. Earlier on the same day that she was found. Someone with her description was found on surveillance video in a residential area with the sole suspect in the case around 1 o'clock that morning. And later, around 3 in the morning, the suspect was seen walking back carrying some clothes. And this suspect is a 14-year-old boy, often unnamed by multiple news sources since I suppose they're uncomfortable with disclosing the name of a minor. However, there were other news sources that disclosed his name, and his name is Aiden Fucci. However, before Tristan was found, and when he was still only considered a witness to her disappearance, Aiden posted a selfie of him in the back of a police car making a peace sign with the caption, and I quote, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristan lately?" I mean, honestly, at this...
Yo, this nigga's weird!
time, although this kid is not convicted of anything, because they're still investigating the story, I'm pretty sure that this guy did it, as they were the only ones seen on camera together after midnight. And then he goes ahead and posts this kind of picture while sitting in the back of a police car.
In the back of the car, like,
being
fool, he hot, yo, he hot. He like the niggas that post guns on their story and it's on probation.
I mean, if it turns out that he actually didn't kill her, he's still an asshole for trying to make a joke out of this thing. In any case, he's currently being held on 1 count of second-degree murder by the Department of Juvenile Justice.
And
the evidence they've compiled
against this is recent, nigga. You got the COVID mask on. Oh, shit.
Is still got the COVID mask on. Hold on. I guess being smug or trolling or taunting the victim and her family. I mean, if it turns out that he actually didn't kill her, he's still an asshole for trying to make a joke out of this thing. In any case, he's currently being held on 1 count of second-degree murder by the Department of Juvenile Justice. And the evidence they've compiled against him is as follows. His image on the surveillance camera, along with the someone that fits Tristan's description, another video of him walking back alone later that morning, along with, and I quote, "several items of evidentiary value were found in the boy's room that have a presumptive positive test result for blood. However, exactly what these items are have not been disclosed to the public." But what's most shocking is that Aiden apparently made several admissions of guilt when being interviewed about.
Meet Editor X, the world's most advanced website design platform.
Get the fuck out
made for you.
a fuck.
By the police. After he was arrested, there was a Zoom hearing to discuss his detention. The judge ruled that he is to be held in juvenile detention for at least 21 days. And during this hearing, Aiden didn't make a statement, nor did his attorney return message for comment. Also, Aiden's father was reported as showing little emotion towards this hearing. His mother, on the other hand, was crying her eyes out as he was read his rights. And obviously, when you're dealing with criminal cases like this that involve minors, it can be a very tricky and bumpy road to traverse, since this whole case will determine how Aiden's future turns out. You know, a lot of people are just worried that charging someone...
Hey, well, once I seen the Snapchat jump, fool, he did it, man. What's the motherfucking gimmick about? I got him on camera. The nigga said, Slim said, have you guys seen Tristan lately?
Someone with something so intense at such a young age could make it so that they could never repent and have an opportunity to live as a free adult. However, Sheriff Robert Hardwick seemed to have a harsher stance, saying, and I quote, "I can tell you that the man is a cold-blooded killer. And I hate to say man because he's just a child, but he committed a man's crime." Yep, I know, this entire thing sounds crazy, especially for a couple of 13 and 14-year-olds. On May 10th, though, it was decided that he would be charged as an adult. And this charge was more specifically of premeditated first-degree murder, which could also very well mean that he'll be spending at least 40 years in prison, since he's about 14 years old, and 40 plus 14, what is that, like 54? He'll only be 54 years old if he makes it another 40 years in life. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about, but hey, that just goes to show you how much life ahead of him is gonna go to waste if he's found guilty of this charge. In any case, later on May 21st, Aiden's original attorney withdrew from this case, and the judge presiding over this case had allowed this change. And to be honest, his own attorney withdrawing from this case is a really bad sign that he actually might be guilty. But I think it's very important to tell you guys that...
the nigga did it, bro. What the fuck, nigga? I would... Oh, you did that shit? Yeah, I'm going to put my 2 weeks in. Yep, here you go. I'm not doing this shit.
Apparently, it's not because the lawyer wanted to leave, but it's because Aiden's family couldn't afford the lawyer fees, and so they applied for indigency instead. And I know, a lot of you may not know what that word means. Hell, I didn't even know what that meant 5 minutes ago. But apparently, if a person, a family, or defendant is too poor to afford a lawyer themselves, they can have one provided to them by the state via indigency. New word of the day, indigency. Indigency. Suffering from extreme poverty, impoverished, archaic, deficient, totally lacking in something specified. So a homeless person would be indigent. So that basically meant that he qualified for a public defender. Unfortunately, though, public defenders have a very bad reputation of being incredibly incompetent. And I'm not saying all of them are, but a lot of them, especially in the inner cities, are not so good. However, this investigation is still ongoing, and the evidence is still being reviewed. And I know a lot of you probably wanted more info on this case, but you gotta understand that cases involving minors are very hard to get info from, and we're at the beginning stages of this murder trial, and murder trials often take a very long time because you got to make sure that every single piece of info that you're using to prosecute a suspect is accurate, or you can risk losing the case. And that goes for the defendants and their attorneys as well. Not to mention, you got to get a jury that is unbiased, usually people who don't live in the area or who haven't heard about the story, and the judges themselves have to sift through all the info, hear both sides, and try to be as impartial as possible. But whatever the case may be, I really hope that whoever did this, we're presuming that this kid did it, are punished to the fullest degree of the law, because they took the life of an innocent 13-year-old girl, and her life will never be coming back.
Never.
You know, I can't imagine how her father and mother must be feeling, especially her father. Like, we all know fathers are typically more attached to their daughters because that's their, you know, their little girls. Even when they grow up, they still view them as their little babies. It's just that father and daughter bond, you know. I don't know how I would be able to move on in life losing my daughter in such a tragic way. But I want to know your thoughts.
I don't know how I can be able to move in life.
Thoughts and opinions on this. If any of you live in this area, let me know, because I would really love to know more information about this. Right? If any of you live in this area, let me know, because I would really love to know more information about this case. I'll try to keep my ears open to see if any more info.
Alright, I think that's the end of the video. Because like, comment, subscribe, I'm out. That nigga killed that bitch, by the way, guys. If I didn't know, I didn't even call her a bitch. He killed that female, that innocent 13-year-old girl. Please make her soul rest in peace. Well, it's not gonna rest, but you know what I mean. Click the fuck off. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on my shit. Cause we're back, bitch.